Yo, what is up guys? It is Samool back again with another epic 7 video for you guys today. And I hope you guys are having a wonderful time farming Wyvern 13 over and over the entire day for 24 hours and farming those mats, because if you guys didn't know, right now we have the hunt event going on where you're getting 30% extra gold and 50% extra crafting mats. So you guys really want to spend all your leaves during that time on the hunt, right? Wyvern and whatever hunt you're farming. That being said, we're going to be talking about the best single target DPS in the game overall. Now, this isn't going to be ranked in any particular order. I'm going to be talking about the top 5 single target DPS in my opinion. And keep in mind, I'm picking these units based on how many areas of content you can use them, how easy they are to gear, and how effective they are at their role as a single target DPS. Now, without further ado, let's get into the top 5 list. So the first single target DPS I'm going to talk about is going to be no surprise to anyone. It is going to be Commander Lorina. Now, Commander Lorina is free to play. You can get her base character from connections, and then all you have to do is specialty change her. Her quest is a lot easier than it was before, and she is a top tier single target DPS. I actually recommend building her in your first first four specialty change units, because she's just that good at DPSing. Her S3 is going to be a CR pushback that does more damage the lower the enemy is. This one isn't the reason why she's really good. It's actually going to be her S2 and her S1. So her S2 gives her passive attack boost, and it stacks up to 5 times. You're basically getting free 75% attack. Think about that, 75% attack. That's actually crazy. And then her S1 is a single target attack, which has Daydream Joker built in. So you can actually use Daydream Joker on her as well. You have like basically double Daydream Joker. And you also get CR push on yourself, so you can cycle yourself very quickly. She also has really good skill tree skills. I'm not going to go too much in depth about it, but she's very strong. She's going to be one of your best free to play options as a single target DPS for the early game, mid game, and even the late game, because in the late game you can use her in a variety area of content. You can still use her in raid. She's very good in Abyss, she's good in Fire Expedition, she's good in Katie's hunt. You can use her in one-shot hunt comps. Very powerful unit. Really recommend picking her up and using her. She's a very powerful single target DPS, and I cannot stress how much she is strong in the current, PvE meta. And the next unit we're going to talk about is a limited 5-star unit, so she is harder to access, but she's still very powerful. We have Landy. She works similarly to Commander Lorina. Let's talk about why. So her S1 also has that CR push that Commander Lorina has, except she doesn't have that Daydream Joker built in. Also, we have the passive attack boost similar to Commander Lorina, although Landy's scales a bit harder, but it won't stack as much, so overall, Commander Lorina gets more attack. And we also have the S3, which is completely different, but Landy's will be an AoE attack that pushes everyone's CR, you can penetrate defense, and you can also increase speed of your team. Speed buff is very good for lapping bosses. So Landy is a very strong single target DPS. The only downside is she is Earth, so you cannot use her everywhere like you can with Commander Lorina. Commander Lorina, being a dark unit, is elemental neutral, so she can be used everywhere. Landy really struggles against fire bosses, but having that speed buff is really nice because you have some utility and you have CR push for your team as well. And you just have crazy amounts of single target and AoE damage, and your turn cycling is super strong. The only thing is, yeah, she's a limited unit, and also you want to use her in PvP, so you might not be able to build her for PvE unless you pull for 2 of her or put her on a build that works for both. So that is a downside. Now, comparing Commander Lorina and Landy, it's hard. They're both very strong in different ways. I think Commander Lorina is better single target, but Landy has that extra kick for AoE and buffing. Very strong unit. If you guys don't want to waste your runes building Commander Lorina and you have Landy already 6-starred, you can just use Landy pretty much everywhere, and she's a very powerful single target DPS with some utility as well. Another single target DPS that's very strong is another limited unit. So yes, we have 2 limited units, but she's very strong and she is the poster girl of Epic 7. We have the Ice Warrior Luna. She's a very strong single target DPS unit. You're going to see her S1 is basically a random amount of attacks from 1 to 3. That's basically kind of why she's not like super top tier, because there's some RNG, but when you hit the 3 roll, it does so much damage. Her S2 will give her extra attack and crit chance, easier to build basically, and makes her hit harder. And her S3 is a defense break, which will also penetrate defense and will attack using an advantageous element. So yes, just like Landy, she suffers against elemental strong units, so she'll be bad against like earth bosses. But as a single target unit, she's very strong. You can use her in Fire Expedition, she's the best. You can use her in Abyss. You could basically use her as a Commander Lorina replacement except the only thing is I think Commander Lorina is just better than her in basically every single area of content besides Fire Expedition, so just keep that in mind. Luna is still very strong though. Luna also has exclusive equipment to boost her stats, and you can also buff her S3 or even her S1. S1 is pretty much the best because it gives you that CR push that Commander Luna has as well. The only thing is, yeah, like when you auto with Luna, there's a lot of RNG, but if you manual with her and like Fire Expo, you can easily do your Dagger Sakaar quests because she does so much damage if you just soul in her S1 and always roll that 3. So yeah, very strong single target DPS. Honestly though, I would only use her in Fire Expedition over Commander Lorina, but if you guys, are lazy to farm runes, you can just use Luna pretty much everywhere else because PvE honestly is not too difficult, so just slotting in Luna where Commander Lorina is used will still be fine. And now we have another 5-star unit, Cermia. So Cermia is one of the best, if not the best, single target nuker in the game. She works similarly to Watcher Shuri, where she just, nukes something single target. The only thing is Cermia does way more damage in a longer fight because her S1 does a lot of damage as well. Let's go over her skills real quick. So her S3 is just a single target attack that penetrates defense. S2 will give her a greater attack buff and will reset the cooldown of her S3. And her S1 is a very hard-hitting single target attack on healable. We also have her exclusive equipment, which will have a chance to have her S1 attack twice. Her S2 will give her a barrier, or her S3 will also, get reduced cooldown your S2 will get reduced cooldown if your S3 kills something. So very powerful single target unit. She's very good in Golem, she's very good in Hades, she's very good in Light Expedition. Her single target damage is just crazy. Like if you're S3ing into a defense broken target with your greater attack buff, you can one-shot some bosses. For instance, like Hades' first boss, Cermia will one-shot it instantly. Very powerful unit. She's very strong as an overall single target DPS unit. She just does less damage over time than the other ones like Luna, Landy, and Commander Lorina, but Cermia has that very hard-hitting S3 nuke, which makes her very good in bosses that you want to nuke down very fast, most namely Hades. So yeah, Cermia, I think she's a very good unit. I noticed a huge difference in my Hades runs once I started building my Cermia for it. Just makes a very huge difference, especially in Hades, which is really annoying to farm. So I think Cermia is a very powerful single target DPS in the game right now. And last but not least, we have a 4-star ML unit, Challenger Dominiel. Now keep in mind guys, these units aren't ranked in any specific order. So you can use basically all these units in a lot of areas of content, they'll be fine. So Challenger Dominiel, although being last, is not the worst of this bunch, honestly. She's probably in the middle, of the pack. But yeah, very, very powerful unit. She was my substitute to Commander Lorina in the beginning because when I started playing, Commander Lorina's specialty change quest was super annoying to do. So I just used my Challenger Dominiel, and she's a very strong unit. She has a crit chance buff similar to Furious, which you can keep up the entire time on your team if you make her fast enough, and it's a 50% crit chance boost, and also a 10% or actually 20% CR push when you max her out with Molas. Very powerful. Her S2 will basically make it so whenever someone crits, she gets CR pushed, and also when your team crits, you're stacking like charges of your S1, and when you have higher charges on your S1, it does more damage, and it scales even harder with criticals hits. So yeah, Challenger Dominiel, super strong single target nuking DPS. Not only does she reduce the CR requirements or the crit chance requirements of your team, she also has a lot of CR pushing built into herself and her team. If you have an AoE unit that crits on like 5 or 4 mobs in boss fights, you're gonna get pushed super hard. Also, her S1 guys, when you soul burn it, when you're manualing through PvE like through Abyss, Hellraid, you do so much damage. It's like the highest soul burn modifier in the game, if not one of the most highest. And basically, if you defense break like a Hellraid boss and you have enough stacks of your charging from your S2, you can soul burn your S1 and one-shot the Hellraid boss. I'm not even kidding. That's how I used to clear Hellraid before I had an auto Hellraid team. Challenger Dominiel is super goated, very underrated for PvE, and she's super fun to use. You just soul burn S1, you do so much damage. So if you guys, aren't using her for cleave at the moment and you have one on your bench, and you want to use a fun unit that's really strong in PvE, that's super hard hitting single target damage wise, Challenger Dominiel is a very good option. Now overall her damage isn't as great compared to Commander Lorina. Commander Lorina does more damage over time. Also Challenger Dominiel, if you don't manual her S1, it's pretty weak. The regular S1 still hits hard but doesn't hit nearly as hard as if you soul burn. So the only downside is you do have to kind of like manual with her for most of the part. But that pretty much, all these units are very good for single target DPSing. You just want to make sure you look at the elements, right? So if you're using Cermia against an ice boss, it's not going to really work out that well. Landy versus fire boss, etc. You also want to make sure you don't have overlapping buffs. Like Landy with another speed buffer won't be that great, right? Challenger Dominiel with another crit chance buffer won't be that great either, and so forth. So you just want to make sure you slot in these units as needed, but they're all very good. That being said, guys, I hope you guys found this video helpful. All these single target DPS units are very strong, and if you guys want to see more of these top 5, top 10, unit lists, make sure you leave a like and comment down below. It really helps my channel out a lot, and I'll see you guys next video. Peace.